Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Tuesday, September 3, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having a Time for Change call tomorrow night, Wednesday, September 4. That's going to be quite interesting. Right now, the majority of people on this planet, because of the show, we look at things, we view things, and the brain is super computerizing it. And if you're bombarded constantly with what we look at as being, negative and distasteful and just not acceptable at all, and it's repetitive. And so wherever you look, if you're in a cave and you're not looking at all the media and everything, it's a different story. But sometimes, through this hurried pace that civilization has, hurrying and scurrying, and that's why it's been called at times a rat race, because everybody's in a hurry, everybody's running around, everybody's doing something. Even when you don't think you're doing something, you're doing something. And this doesn't give us any time for ourselves. Doesn't give us any peace, any calm. And after a while, that gets, you imagine that in this life that we're all in, that seems to be a constant, doesn't it? Where even as children, if you'll notice, I don't know if you did this when you were going somewhere with your parents, and you wanted to get there. Are we there? Mom and Dad would get in the car and you'd take off, and probably 10, 15 minutes later, are we there yet? Say, well, always, and that's initiated through the programming of the parents and the child, and it's that hurried, that rush thing. And as we all know, when you rush constantly, you damage the soul. And then one I say, well, I thought the soul was indestructible. It is. That doesn't mean it can't get dense. Have you ever just said, you know what? This is a tough one for most people because of how we've acclimated to this, everybody thinks is advanced technology. And the feeling, right? If you said, hey, you know what? I'm going to leave my phone alone. I'm going to not look at the computer, if you have a computer. Or if you just have a landline, I'm not going to answer the phone. I'm just going to spend time with myself. That's it. Just total silence with yourself. How many of us do that and how often? I believe it's rare. Because we have this attachment to like the phone, and what if someone tried to get in touch with me, and what if there was an emergency? So we have a very uneasy feeling of, let's say, I'm going to just go take a drive, period. And I'm going to leave my phone, everything behind. Now, some of you remember that one time, we didn't have any of that. We didn't have cell phones. In fact, we had no cell phones before they came out with the first bricks called cell phones. We had landline. And so we didn't have voicemail, caller ID. So whenever the phone would ring, you wouldn't know who it was. You'd have no clue, unless someone would call you at such and such a time. But the pressure and the stress wasn't anywhere near what it is today on us. Isn't it interesting how we as a species acclimate to introductions of different technologies, and as time goes by, and it's a convenience, of course, and it keeps us connected, and there's positives to it too. But when you're entrenched in it, totally saturated with it, you don't spend any time with yourself. And this is why so many of us feel alone when we've never been alone, ever. There's no way we could be alone. And then loneliness is different than being alone. Loneliness is because you haven't communicated with yourself and you're not within. So you feel lonely, so you want to interact with someone else or be around others. As we continue this spiritual evolution, we're going to move into that you won't be lonely. And you'll know that you're never alone. More and more of us are addressing the universe and beginning to comprehend what that universe is, not through the mind. Mind's too small, but through the heart mind. And you begin to realize that the universe is always there. And it knows better than you do. Remember, you're part of the essence of the universe. So you could say that I'm the universe, universe is me, just like the golden ocean and the drop. But when you're clear with yourself, like these meditations where you go into quiet time, and I share information, and then you zero in on certain parts of that information that you feel apply to you. And then you focus on that, contemplate, observe, in complete quietness. Now we can all say that this society, this civilization, is far beyond quiet. Where there's no noise, outside noise element or disturbances or anything. See, all those frequencies affect our field all the time. You know, if you're in a busy city and you live in a busy city, or you're out in the country, two different cycles of frequencies. And of course, this planet is emitting frequencies 24/7. Now, when you you feel, all of us feel, whether we know it or not, everything. We feel the pulse of the planet. We feel the movement of life on the planet. This is why so many of us get disrupted when something cataclysmic happens, or a lot of us are in harm's way. It affects us all, and there's no exception to that. Now, there's some people that they're fogged over, I guess you could say. They're not sure about anything. But when we start focusing on the vibrational frequencies of existence, then we begin to unravel the mystery that we feel everything. Even when you lock your heart up through trauma or something in this lifetime or others, you're still going to feel it. You can't shut it off because we're part of it. It's part of us. And a lot of us, quiet time's boring and there's nothing to do. And I've had people say that getting quiet is just kind of boring. That's because you don't know what you're doing. When you walk, we've all probably experienced this at least a few times in this lifetime so far. And let's say you're out and there's people around. Maybe it's a mall or social event or something, and you're walking around, okay, let's say you're by yourself and you don't know anybody, but you decided you were going to go, right? Might be good for me. I think I'm going to go. So you go and you're all by yourself. Okay? You don't have any friends with you or anything. Have you noticed how you feel when that is posed? You notice how you feel. Apprehension, anxiety, stress, worry, a little fear. Why? Because you want to be accepted. No, it has to be accepted. You want to have someone come up to you, or you come up to somebody and start talking. Now, most of us won't socially interact. We'll just look around and stand there. But some of us will interact and start communicating. It doesn't matter if they're complete strangers or not. And the interesting thing is that when you comprehend that all of them, the bodies, right, but just like you, are pure consciousness in the body, which you are part of. This gets real confusing to so many because we're so acclimated to the body way over the spirit, the God, the pure consciousness. So we don't look at people from that awareness where you look at someone and you're saying that there's a God in that body, there's pure consciousness, and I'm part of that pure consciousness. No ifs, ands, buts about it. So it's not. So how they're acting, how they're being, has nothing to do with the God they are. Completely zero. Has nothing to do with the God that they are. The pure consciousness. But many of us don't embrace that. Okay? We look beyond the body. And you will get to that. You will get to the point where you're not looking at someone from a visual perspective. You're looking at them because of the God within them. And you're part of that God. And there's no separation. Separation we created as an illusion so that we can experience. And there's billions of us on this planet in this very now moment experiencing. Not knowing that they created it. That they created the experience. And that's something that the mind doesn't, it's too small again. You can go through the heart mind to comprehend that. That all of us, period, are one. Even though we've created this illusion of separation. What happens when we are programmed and manipulated into conflict? We all know what that is, and we've experienced it to different degrees and forms throughout this lifetime alone. But what happens how does that come to be? A benevolent species called human that is in high conflict, either with themselves or each other. Because they don't know who and what they are. That's the bottom line. And when you don't know who and what you are, that's what happens, because what are you going to embrace? You're going to embrace the physical material. All right? And then, since you don't know who and what you are, and you aren't going within, and I don't care if you're 150 or 15, but if you don't go within, and you don't start spending more time with yourself, then this cycle will continue until you come to the realization that, I no longer care to go that way. I'm going to go this way. We're all on the same path anyway. We might take little side dirt roads on occasion, but we come back on path. And there's no way any of us can screw up our lives, even though that's been taught and programmed. I made a mess of my life. You haven't. It's specifically designed for you. Only you. And what you experience is only for you. And when we start looking at that from that perspective and say, okay, so why have I experienced this? Why did I create this and I experienced it? What's in it? What is it teaching me? As I have said, every one of us walk into each other's lives. Maybe for 10 seconds. Could be for 5 seconds. But it's all designed. You're attracting that depending on what your vibrational frequency is. As like I've said, you might. Now this is interesting. When you get around somebody, we've all done this. You don't know them, right? and you're communicating with them, but it kind of goes like sandpaper on a chalkboard with them. And you're not judging them at all. You're just going, I don't like to be around this being. I just don't feel really good around them. Why is that? What is happening there? Their frequency is mingling with your frequency. So if what they're doing and how they feel about themselves, they're emitting that. And if it's caustic vibrational frequency, it affects us. It really does. Now, you don't know them. They don't, they're not repulsive to you, and they seem okay, but something is interfering with your field, your energetic field, which it isn't pleasant. It's disturbing. As you ever said, I just don't like that person. I don't know them. I was around them a few times, but I just don't care to be around them. That's why. It isn't you. It's their field that's interfering with yours. And if it's low frequency, it's going to interfere with yours. It's going to affect you. You ever, in the morning you get up and you go about your way, right? You feel great. We don't need any reason to feel great. We just feel great. No special occasion. We feel good. So, and then you during the course of the day, you come across a couple people and you just start feeling, and then after you interact with them and you leave, you go, man, why am I so tired? And I have no reason to be tired, but boy, I really feel I feel like I'm dogging it. I haven't done anything out of the norm, today. That's why. When you have a high frequency field, because of your mood, because of how you're being, and you get around a low frequency, someone who is down or depressed, now they don't have to show it on the surface, say. Remember all the masks that everybody wears. So you would know that they were depressed and down or angry about something. But you can't hide it because you picked that up. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're ledging it and say, oh, they're this and this and this. You just feel it. You feel that frequency. So when that happens, see, in that instance, you begin to comprehend the fact that you know that how they appear on the surface isn't what's going on inside. So you say, well, I'm gonna absolutely flood them with love light energy. I'm going to saturate them. And you watch what happens. It may take a bit sometimes, but it's almost immediate. They'll shift into higher frequency. When you have a high frequency and you're in a good mood and you feel great, and you're not worry, stressing, or fearing, it's going to attract others on that same frequency. If you're angry with something could be insignificant, you're going to continue to attract people that are on that same frequency. See, it's like a radio tuning tower, and it depends on how you tune yourself on what you're going to attract. If you tune yourself to static and noise and everything, you're going to attract more of that. You ever notice that in this life alone, something happens. It could be in the beginning of your day. It doesn't have to be a big deal at all. But for some reason, it sets you off. And you don't know this, but your frequency starts to go down. Just a little bit at a time, not big time. And the course of your day totally shifts. And then you end up saying at the end of that day, boy, am I glad this day's over. Right? It's because you kept attracting like attract like, so you kept attracting more and more and more. It doesn't have to be blatant or in your face, but you kept attracting it. You got more irritated. And then other things that would not normally irritate you irritate you. at that point. So you build it and you attract more and more and more. This is why so many of us, it's all it is ignorance. It's not about anything else. And it's not a negative. We don't know. We haven't discovered yet. And this is what we all experience. Every one of us. Doesn't matter where you're at in this life, this material physical life. Doesn't matter what you have. It has nothing to do with that. That's all temporary anyway. But it's about you. It always has been about you. You know, you've heard me say you're the master and commander. And you are. You deem and you direct. Even though most of us don't know that. And most of us, all of us are in the ego mind, but some of us lesser extents. So when ego is lost, limit is lost. Remember? When ego is lost, limit is lost. You become infinite, kind, and beautiful. Yogi Bhajan. That's very true. The limitations that we have with ourselves, whatever they may be, are due to the ego. This is all about learning about the ego. Ego isn't a negative thing. It isn't a bad thing. We specifically designed it to be in these bodies so that we can experience it, comprehend, understand it, and then master it. When we master the ego mind, we've ended up mastering our thoughts. Imagine what it's like that you're at a point of discovery on spiritual evolution. And now you're the master and commander of your thoughts, and the ego mind has retired. Okay? So that means you direct exactly. And see, you know what, if you put this out, this is going to happen. But you don't know it in detail. You put this out, this is going to happen. It'll attract it. If you put this out, that's going to attract that. Period. Now, the interesting thing, we all have attachments. We gain attachments. We have expectations. It's part of the ego mind. But when I mean surrender and let go of everything, it doesn't mean that, I'm going to give it away or I'm going to do this. It's nothing to do with that. You're just letting it go so you're not attached to it. See what I mean? You're not attached to it, but you enjoy it. And if it was gone tomorrow, it wouldn't be an issue. And this is what we do. And as I've been sharing with you in the guided part of this meditation, it all comes together. You start snapping the puzzle pieces into place and you start realizing, okay, so where does your fear of any kind, your anxiousness, hurriedness, anxiety, where does that all come from? How does that come into being? You discover that it's coming through my ego mind, which has mastered me, which is okay. But I've discovered that, and that's half of the way once you've discovered that. And through your heart mind, you comprehend that and say, okay, now I can start observing it and watching it through meditation. I can leave my mind and ego alone. See? I really don't care to think. That's a new one, right? You don't care to think about anything. It's kind of like taking a break from the incessant ego mind. And this is why spending time alone with ourselves, nurturing ourselves, loving ourselves deeply, and forgiving ourselves for whatever the ego mind has conjured up that, oh, you did bad, or you shouldn't have done that, and you've done a lot of rotten things, whatever. It's feeding you. And you take each one of those, sit down with it, embrace it, and I guarantee you it will vanish. Most of us run from things. Now, it's not like we admit it. But if it's too much, we just suppress it and throw it, we put it in the closet. We just don't care. It's for us, it's caustic and it's disruptive, so we don't care to have it around. Now, rather than doing it about face and facing it and embracing it and asking it what it needs, we go the opposite direction. But we also know that it bubbles up every now and then. You ever had that happen? There's some trauma that you just haven't faced off with it, so to speak, or embraced. It comes abound. It comes up again. It'll bubble up again. And we do know that the past, okay, is dead. It's over. And the future has not even come yet. And the now is where we want to be at all times. And the only way that's going to happen is that we practice about who and what we are and go within on a daily basis. That's why we do these, one of the reasons we do these meditations. And, the gratitude 24/7, and being gentle and kind and loving with yourself is imperative, no matter what is going on. Because what is happening within you is going to attract it outside of you. These are pretty simple, at least on the surface for us. That we know that, okay, so if you're starting to, churn up inside, you come in through the heart mind and say, that's the ego mind where you're churning up inside. And you say, okay, I understand that, I embrace that, but I'm going to go into my heart mind and look at why I'm getting turned up. What's the reason for it? Why would I get turned up? Well, this. I don't talk about that. I'm talking about you. Does it make any sense for any of us to get... We've all been angry, one point or another, more than once in this life so far. How long does it take us to recover from that? Right? Do we recover from happiness? No. We want more of it. But when we get angry, it takes some of us a while to get through that anger. That's all ego mind. Every bit of it. Every smidgen, every drop is ego mind. This is what we're learning more and more with ourselves. It starts to surface, it's like bubbling up for a minute, how spectacular this life is. I don't understand how anybody could get bored with it. Well, we get bored with it when we're in the ego mind and material physical world, of course. It's an experience. And some things happen so that we appreciate or are in deeper gratitude for other things. Or you may say, I just had a rough week, but I'm grateful I had a rough week. Now that sounds kind of strange to some people. Who cares? Doesn't make any difference. It's about you. So you start to comprehend is that I'm very grateful I had a rough week. And you say, why am I grateful? Because I'm alive in this body. And I was able to experience it to begin with. And you say to yourself, why did I create it? See, we reveal things with ourselves. It's like a show and tell with ourselves. And a lot of people will have a bad day. Once in a while, we all have kind of a, mooky kind of day. But when the bad days turn into bad weeks, depressing months, and unhappy years, we truly need to make a change, and maybe you have met people like that. The bottom line, all of us are here to enjoy this life. Why would we do it anywhere else? We're here to enjoy our lives, not be tortured by them. This universe is a totally magnificent playground of energy. Everything's energy. A conscious celebration, blossoming, exploding with life in all directions. Now, when we can see this, we can enjoy it. When we lose perspective, we sever our natural connection with this great joy. Now, some of us, we're just taking the longer route to rediscovering the divine beings we truly are. And every time you can say this to yourself, all right? The first step is to shifting out of a negative mood is to recognize, realize, and honor the fact that you are the one creating and perpetuating this bad mood. Nobody else is. Nothing outside of you is. Now, a lot of people may believe something outside. Something outside of us. Something outside of you is responsible for your unhappiness. Yet ultimately, it all comes down to how you are responding. Are you seeing it as your teacher or your enemy? Most of us see it as our enemy. Happiness is always about the lens we are looking through. Truly enjoying this life, for all of us, is about taking radical responsibility for the state you're in. Exploring what this negative experience is teaching spiritually you. And then finding out the fastest way to let it go. Once you can say, I am the one creating this negative experience of my life, then half of the great battle is over. Now see, it's tempered by you being kind, gentle, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. And some of us get miscombobulated and we come down on ourselves. No, that's a big no-no. We're learning how to step back from whatever we're resisting, fighting, judging, or hating, and see that actually it is just a bunch of thoughts. That's all it is. Your problems ultimately boil down to ideas that are ultimately passing through the synapses of your brain. Whatever wrong thing you think is happening out there is always happening primarily inside your mind in here. And the more resistance, judgment, and anger you've built up around this particular idea out there, the greater the joy you'll feel when you shift your relationship with it inside yourself and move on. You've heard the term, it's like water off a duck's back. You put water on a duck's back, it just rolls right off. It's a bead that rolls right off. Okay? And the moment you learn how to let go of being right about how horrible something or someone is, you discover how good it feels to be wrong. Life always provides the perfect climax at the end. Releasing your negative mood is returning to the source of who and what you spiritually are, the God, the pure consciousness. See, it all goes back to that, all the time. And truly, who and what are you? What are you? Are you your name? Are you what others think of you? Or just this physical body filled with meat, blood, and emotional bones? Perhaps there is a deeper spiritual aliveness that is real inside you. Now, if you believe that you are your thoughts, then ask yourself, then who and what is watching and listening to them go by? The watcher is the real you. You are not any of these thoughts. You just became too close to your thoughts and got overly identified with them. Easy to do. And the very moment we return to who and what we are, the pure consciousness, the pure conscious witness, who abides at the very source of thought, then we are home free. And as you do in this meditation, is to truly, deeply, and sweetly relax fully into your body so that there is no tension hiding inside you anywhere. When we can fully relax inside, we become deeply aware beings again. It's easy to see how insignificant and fleeting thoughts actually are. A great analogy is a dragonfly. If you've had a dragonfly flying around, it's right 1 minute there, it's gone. I mean, it's like a blink of the eye. One moment it's right there, buzzing in your face, and in the breath, it's gone. That's a thought, right? When our body is relaxed, we can see how fleeting each thought is and how easy it is to completely change them. We all have the power, right, to change whatever we put out there. Sometimes you might want to say to yourself this: cancel, delete, and all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, forever. On all planes of existence, and all existences. Cancel, delete, eliminate. So you got something that you were thinking, right? And then you pull back and say, I don't really care to be thinking that. Or if you have a thought that comes in that's disturbing to you, cancel, delete, and eliminate. On all planes of existence, all dimensions. You'd be surprised what happens. You start to discover just how powerful you truly are. The more we can feel into the spiritual truth of who and what we are, we naturally pull back our attention to our real selves. It just feels good. So we naturally do it. Our spiritual nature takes care of us. And we can effortlessly enjoy this life, which means we have stopped dwelling on the negative. Our bad mood turns around and we see the beauty in everything. We are grateful for life again, even for the opportunity to shift out of this negative space. We appreciate, love, and enjoy this simple experience of being alive. We understand that if we cannot see God in all, we cannot see God at all. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into the body, focused on the breath, rising and falling. Your breath is a natural healing experience. Relax into this healing experience and allow yourself to accept a growing sense of peace within. Notice what subtle sensations occur inside you by breathing slowly and consciously. This can be a deeply creative experience. The healing benefits from just a few short minutes of this practice are profound. Slowly breathe golden light up your spine and feel how it's opening you. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. We'll return here Wednesday, September 4, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our global guided meditation call, a little after 9:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our time for change call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest, eternal gratitude at all times. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in.